Wouldn't it be lovely to wake up in the morning and feel like no matter what happens today, I know I'm in complete control? Wouldn't that just boost your confidence, reduce your anxiety, and just enhance the overall experience of your life? If that's something you're looking to get or to feel, then stick around. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the MLG podcast. I'm really excited to be here with you and to be able to chat to you again and to talk about things that really matter in life. As you know from the title, our topic today is taking control of your life. And this is such a huge topic and one I can go on about for hours because there are so many facets and levels to it. And I'm really passionate about it because I feel that's the ultimate way of empowering yourself and living a higher quality life. I will distill it down to the basics, and at the end of the episode I will give you a visual guide and also questions that you can use for yourself or for someone you helping in moments where you feel out of control. And of course, I will humbly add the bloopers again this time purely for your entertainment. So when I say take control of your life, it will mean something else for everyone. So everyone has a different definition or a different image that is triggered as soon as you hear take control of your life. So for some of you, it might mean that everything is going to go exactly as you plan and you can facilitate that to happen exactly in the way that you want. For others, it might be that you have the grand magician power to just make things pop up the way that you want in your life. For others, it might even mean that you are the ultimate puppet master and you're able to control everyone around you. If that's the case, maybe we should talk. Now, often we connect control with responsibility. Now you might say, well, Mandy, I'm not responsible for so many circumstances or events that enter my life, so how will I possibly be able to control them? Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Thank you for that. So let's take the word apart and say, instead of our responsibility, we break it up into our ability to respond. All of a sudden, the outlook changes completely. I'm just going to say that again for effect. So instead of thinking about it as responsibility, we think about it as our ability to respond. Now, I heard this the first time from Sadhguru. I don't know if he coined it, but I was so grateful the moment I heard that because it completely transformed my life and the way I saw my life. Now, back to our ability to respond. Let me give you a few simple examples. Say someone cuts you off in traffic and you obviously had no responsibility for that person doing that. However, you can either respond by being furious and so irritated that it sets the tone for the rest of your day, or you can roll your eyes, maybe throw one or two swear words their way, and then take your focus back to what you want to achieve for the day. If you are walking along on the sidewalk and you see a piece of rubbish lying on the floor, you had again no responsibility for it being there, neither for the behavior of the person who put it there. But you can respond either by leaving it or picking it up and being part of the solution and help make the world a cleaner place. You see what I'm getting at, right? Now you may be thinking, well, yeah, Mandy, those are easy ones though. There are things, however, that happen to me that completely disrupt my life in a massive way. What then? You ask such good questions. For example, you lose your job, or you get seriously ill, or your partner leaves you. And we're not going to go into that part of responsibility, the cause and effect part of it. Today our focus is just on your ability to respond. And in this case, the same still applies. Now, there are thousands of people out there who climbed their way out of their personal hell and are now inspiring all of us. I want to share a story with you though from my family. 3 years ago, my father-in-law was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Now, this was a massive shock to us, not only because he is such a key person in our lives and in our family, and because it just really, really sucks, but also because he had done nothing to deserve it. He had the healthiest lifestyle of all of us. He exercised regularly. He went to the doctor when he had to. He went for all the checkups that he needed to go to. And if you're thinking maybe he was a horrible person and karma just brought it upon him, unfortunately that wasn't true either. He's a really great person. So one day he just got massive stomach pain. He went to the hospital. He had to undergo surgery. And within hours, his life changed from high quality, packed to the brim with plans for the future, to a statistical life expectancy of 6 months. Now, I think we can all agree that's one of the shittiest situations to be faced with, and also a situation where you really feel out of control. First of all, you didn't do anything wrong to get there. Not that it makes it better, but it makes it even worse to feel like you did everything right and now this just happened to you. And also this mental overload of what now? What do I have to do next? So I could go into great depth in this story because there are so many facets to it, but what it really comes down to is how this proved to me in real life how the response we give to a situation is really where our true power lies and where our true control lies. And I'm really grateful to have a role model in that way to show me this in real life and not just in a philosophical way. Instead of succumbing, is that a word? Let's just go with it. So instead of succumbing to anger and desperation over his new situation, he very quickly shifted his mind to the challenge at hand. Instead of mourning his lost plans, he shifted his focus to what is now and how to deal with it. He informed himself about his condition and started to gather information on what the next best step would be. Although it was obviously so hard and such a mental overload, he still chose to focus on each new obstacle and figure out what the best way to respond to that is and how to handle it so that he can still have the highest quality life even though he has these new restrictions. Another big thing that I saw is how to choose your perspective and that it is a choice. And there's one story that sums it up best for me. So I went and had coffee with him one day and the next day he was due for chemo. So on my way out I said to him, I'm so sorry that tomorrow is chemo day again because you know it's horrible, you feel like crap for days. And it has a physical impact on you and also a mental impact. You feel hazy and very uncomfortable. So I said to him, I'm very sorry that he has to go through this and that he's got chemo tomorrow. And he looked at me and said, no, don't be sorry for me. I can't wait for chemo. Why is everyone always sorry for me when they hear I'm going to chemo? And I'm like, well, it's crap. And he said, no, I can't wait for it because it keeps me alive longer. I'm so grateful that I am blessed enough to go to chemo. I mean, right? Like, can we get that man a drink? Okay, he doesn't drink, but can we get him the best glass of juice there is out there? So the moral of the story is, even though we can't control what happens to us from the outside, we can control how we respond to it. It is in our complete control how we experience any given situation. And really, that's what the quality of life is about. It's about how we experience it. So we have all this power to live a high quality and joyful life. Tony Robbins says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The suffering happens when we feel that we have no control, okay? But like we've seen now, we always have control. So maybe not in the obvious way that we can bend the situation to our will, but we can always take different actions, we can choose a different perspective, and we can adjust our expectations of what life should be. Makes me think of something that Harvey Specter said in the show Suits. What are your choices when someone puts a gun to your head? You take the gun, or you pull out a bigger one, or you call their bluff, or you do any of 146 other things. Our suffering and feeling of being out of control comes from the fact that we believe we have very limited options. And that happens because we get stuck in that initial reaction that we have without thinking further and looking for out-of-the-box options. Even if it is just about taking on a different perspective and therefore change the experience you have toward the situation. Now, how can you take control on a daily basis, even though you haven't practiced this yet or you haven't built up the awareness around it yet? I like to use a visual tool for that. I used to have it hanging against my wall or as a background on my phone. And it's based on the spheres of control. Only I see it as a cycle of control. This concept will help you to just think deeper and in a more creative way. Here's the process I go through. When in a situation, I ask myself, can I control this? If the answer is no, I ask myself, can I influence this? If I can neither influence nor control it, what other options do I have? I can stop and accept the situation and accept that I can't control it and move on with my life. Or I can be unhappy, which is a valid option if you want to go with it. The third option is, though, that you can jump back into the cycle again and figure out what your empowering options are. So I always like to explain this with an example of a 7-year-old child who wants to brush his teeth. So let's say the 7-year-old goes and he wants to brush his teeth, okay, and he is able to do that on his own. He can control that situation. So he goes into the bathroom, takes his toothbrush, and when he wants to put toothpaste on it, there's no toothpaste. Okay, so firstly, he can't control it, okay, because he doesn't know where the toothpaste is. Then he asks himself, well, can I influence the situation? And the answer is yes, he can go to his mom and ask her. He doesn't do the action directly of her giving him the toothpaste, but he influences her into helping him. So he goes to his mom and asks her for toothpaste. Okay, she says there's no toothpaste in the house, but let us go to the store and go and buy some toothpaste. Okay, so they get to the store and they are told that all the toothpaste in the whole town is sold out. Okay, no toothpaste to be found anywhere. So now all of a sudden the situation is out of his control and out of his influence. Okay, so now he can choose to go with a bad breath for the rest of his day, or he can circle back to the control part again and ask, well, what is in my control in this situation? And then he might come up with creative ideas like, I don't know, chewing a mint leaf or chewing gum or rinsing his mouth or Googling what are different ways of cleansing your teeth without toothpaste. Okay, so you get what I'm getting at here. It's about cycling back and looking at, well, if I don't have control of the immediate situation, I don't have influence over the immediate situation, what do I have control over? What do I have influence over? And then taking action on those options. If you find yourself in a space where you are stuck, you can also ask yourself these following questions. So like we just discussed, what part of this is in my control, and then act on that part. What is a different perspective that I can take? How does this contribute to my personal growth and development? What can I learn from this? what would my role model do in this situation? So when I say role model, it can be a real person in your life, like a mentor. It can be a celebrity that you look up to and that you think, how would they act in this situation? Or it can also be someone spiritual, someone that's in your heart that you feel you would go and sit at their feet to receive wisdom if you're in a situation. How can I use my situation to contribute to a greater solution for others? Imagine that you have already lived through the situation, okay? So we're 5 years in the future, life has moved on for you, you were successful in handling it and you're okay now. What would you do and say to others who are in the situation that you are in now or that you were in? How did you get through it and how are you now so much better off, and how did you help to contribute to the bigger solution here? So take yourself into the future, into a place where it's already okay, where you already handled it, and reverse engineer your answer for others. Okay, and the last one ties in with the previous question. How can I use this to become an inspirational story for others? Okay, so like my father-in-law showed me how one can react and act in even the worst and most horrifying situations in life, okay? And this is unfortunately the paradox. The worse the situation is, the bigger the inspiration you can be. So if you're in a really bad space at the moment, tell yourself that I could inspire someone in such a great way and people will listen to me because it is really happening. I'm not just talking about it. So look, I know it really sucks the moment you realize that you can't really blame anyone for anything that goes wrong in your life or any unhappiness in your life. But once you really integrate it within you and you really realize it on a deep level, it just changes your life and the perspective and how you live, the quality of your life in such a massive way. It is empowering, it is freeing, and in my opinion, that's the best way you can live your life. I really hope through this episode I could help you maybe change or shift or start to shift your perspective of responsibility and control, and that you now start to feel more empowered and more in control of the quality of your life. It takes time to change our habitual and automatic ways of thinking and responding, but it is definitely possible. Just by watching this, you have already woken up that awareness in yourself. It is my last heartfelt request that you use this newfound power for the good of yourself, for the good of those around you, and for the greater good of the world. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, and your insights in the comment section below. For now, goodbye. Enjoy the bloopers that are coming up, and I can't wait to hang out with you again in the next video. Bye! And I'm really passionate about it because I feel this is the most... There's a word that I'm trying to say. And of course, purely for your entertainment, I will include bloopers again right at the end of the episode. So be sure to not miss them. This is one of those. Gosh. Gosh, gosh doesn't work. Okay, the first time I hear put my phone on silent. It's like having a party there. People who... Car. There's a car. There's a car. There's a car. But today I want to share just want to share 3 years ago. It was so good. So such a mental overload. He took each your perspective. Not sure what I wanted to say there. So the moral of the story is that even though you don't complete control of your inner world, you can always choose to take a different perspective. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, and your insights. I want to hear your insights. It's getting weird. Now back to our ability